Thank you, Carol. Welcome everybody to downtown Stratersville, New York, for our annual awards banquet and meeting afterwards. I appreciate everybody stepping up and coming out this evening. And I also congratulate all of our award winners this evening that will be recognized and over the later. If in case there's any type of emergency, exit in a orderly fashion on the way that most likely you came in. We also have an exit over here to my left. And if it's bad enough, you can run out through the kitchen and get out of the back way. So hopefully we won't have any issues here. Tonight's meal has been prepared by Cater Creations. It was a drop-off meal, very similar to what we did last year up in Hillcrest. And the ladies from the Stratersville Volunteer Fire Department has graciously stepped up to provide the service for us tonight as well. And tonight's menu is a Caribbean chicken with a Caribbean rub on it, slow roasted sliced pork, loaded mashed potatoes. We also have a roasted vegetable medley with field greens with apples, raisins and candy walnuts for your salad. And for dessert, we have jumbo cookies. Also on the line is your hot water for your refreshments. And the girls will be calling your table when it's time to go get your meal for you. Enjoy. I think I brought the bottom with me tonight. Emily, if you can give us our invocation for this evening, please.
Thought I got out of it. Thanks, Mrs. Grocer. You're welcome, Emily. This is like church. Sliding down the aisle. Okay, if everyone can please center themselves, and we will pray. Almighty God, you lend your strength to all those who are there for us in times of crisis, fear, and hurt. You give courage to the first responders who continue to do this important work they are called to do, looking beyond the risk for the sake of those who need your help and protection. We give you thanks for the many ways they give of themselves, their skills, their knowledge, and help in troubling times, protect them, and extend your shielding over them and comfort their hearts when they are tired, heartbroken. And all this we pray in your name. Amen.
We're going to get that festivity going for this evening. Everybody enjoy the meal. I'd like to have the girls from the Stratersville Fire Company come out for a round of applause, please. Also like to recognize a couple of our sponsors for this evening that helped pay for the gathering, for the great food that we had. We thank you very much to AFI Ambulance for their support for this evening, as well as Twin City Ambulance as well. Thank you very much. We also have a few special guests here with us tonight. I'd like to introduce the New York State Department of Health, Ed Major. A couple different hats tonight. We have Don Prescott Jr., also from the New York State Department of Health. From UDMD, Program Director Rob McCartan. And his Associate Program Director, Mike Shaw. Also with us this evening from Catholic Health, Emily James, who is Assistant Manager of Emergency and Acute Neural Services. Probably going to leave this one off. Lori DeFreen. Very good. Okay, thank you. Also from Catholic Health, Assistant Director of Emergency and Acute Neural Services. Also with us from Catholic Health is Robert Olowski, EMS Liaison. As we're trying to get Emily back to work here in the next couple of weeks, she's going to give us a few words tonight on the changes that EMS is going through. Emily?
I'll be back, we don't know about it. Call me out, it's fine. Greg likes to do these things where he calls me on Monday and says, hey, on Wednesday, can you do this with no prep time? So this is what we had this week. So he asked me, he does this to me all the time. So he asked me to do a little talk on the current face of West New York EMS and healthcare. So instead of you just having listened to talk up here, we're gonna do a little exercise. So I'm gonna volunteer some people to come up and help me. Right.
Hey, that baby.
Hey, I gotta go after the phone.
Come on, come on. Come on, grab, if I can steal you. Play. Don, come play. Don, come you play. And you don't get out of this, baby. Don, I'm gonna let you go because you're new, but next year I'll get you, don't worry.
Thank you.
Brian sounded busy on the. Greg, have you got it? Please. It's clean, I promise. Not that I can. You're getting the point of this, right?
Next time I call you, like, don't answer.
It's not ticking, right? You're safe, you're okay.
I'm coming. You were doing good job. Okay. Henry. This is a test to see if men can follow directions. Did anybody else catch that? Stand right here and turn towards her.
Don't worry, you're on camera.
Stay hard. Because women can follow directions, I already know that. When I tell you,
Yeah.
I want you to put your tunnel to your right eye, and only open your right eye on the floor. Go ahead.
Kind of hard for him to do.
Trying to get the right eyes.
Okay, tell me what you see.
See some people sitting at a table.
Directly in front of you, what do you see?
AMI.
Okay. Looking down your tunnel, the only thing you see is AMR, right?
Well, I can see Twin City behind it because it leads.
Just slap on.
Throw it in the point stick. Okay, so if we're looking at our tunnel, what do you think AMR's biggest obstacle is to their operations right now? And Tom, feel free to chime in back there. What's your biggest obstacle right now in operation? Okay, but you're only worried about AMR staffing because you're only looking at your tunnel, right? Yeah, we think so.
Yes.
And open your eyes. Now everybody else look your signs up. So if you guys can't see, we have Outback, Catholic House, Orchard Park, Erie County Emergency Services. Josh also has Twin City, Mercy EMS, the Volunteers, ECMC, Kaleida, Wyoming County EMS. What do you think everybody's biggest obstacle to operations is? Staffing. But if we're only looking at our tunnel, what's the only thing we're worried about? Our staffing. We have a major shortage of paramedics, correct?
Yes.
We have a major shortage of nurses, correct?
Yes.
How do we fix it? And the room goes hush.
Educate, bring them in, give them reason to be there.
So, right, we need to educate them. We need to give them reasons to be there. Why are we not sharing resources? Television, right? We're only worried about our tunnel. Part of the other problem is, you guys can bet, thank you very much for ruining my skin.
That's what it's like.
It doesn't matter. Thank you. So part of the other reason why we have such an issue in healthcare in Western New York right now, besides just the tunnel vision and only worrying about our staffing, is we have not progressed to look at two different puzzles as one puzzle. I've been in EMS for 20 years, and I will tell you for the longest time, it was EMS puzzle and the hospital puzzle. We need to shift that thinking to it being all one puzzle, and we all have pieces to that. And if one piece is missing, we're always going to be an incomplete puzzle. So instead of thinking of it as, I don't have staffing, so when I go to, I'm gonna pick on ECMC just because their wait times happen to be worse than mine right now. I go to ECMC, I wait in the hallway for 3 hours. What's the problem with that? I'm not on the road taking calls for 3 hours. So now I'm calling ECMC going, I need my crew back. But what's ECMC's problem?
Well, it's not that bad, it was 36 minutes this morning on the reporter.
But it's fucked at 30 minutes, so, okay. So you wait for 36 minutes. ECMC's problem is we don't have any beds in the ER. Because what's going on upstairs?
We don't have any beds
We don't have any beds upstairs. And then on top of it, we can't get patients out to get discharged because we have wheelchair van problems. Or we have patients that have no ride home. And then we go back and we rely on EMS and we say, hey, take this non-emergent patient or this non-medical necessity patient, and EMS says, well, we don't do non-medical necessity. But if you look at the pieces of the puzzle and you go all the way back to the beginning, why don't I have a bed in the ER? Because those beds are holding upstairs. So instead of puzzle over here and puzzle over here, we now need to look at this as one big puzzle. We're not two separate parts, we're not two separate teams, it's all one with the same goal. How do we take care of our patients? And it all trickles down. If I can get my patients out upstairs, now I can move those patients out of the ER upstairs, and now you don't wait for beds. And now your crews get cleared, unless they're hanging out in my EMS room. And then I can't do anything about it. So the important piece of this is how do we work together to get this done? Part of that is sharing resources. If I don't have staffing in the ER, we hear this all the time, right? There's 4 rooms over here that you guys aren't using. We don't have staffing. So we need to figure out how to share those resources. Maybe Twin City today can't put 3 trucks in service because they don't have any paramedics to staff them. And AMR can't put another 2 trucks in service to staff them. Where are we getting paramedics from? We need to share resources instead of looking down that tunnel and saying, it's mine, you can't have it. My volunteers, why don't the volunteers want to respond to calls anymore? I volunteered for many years. And I will tell you, nothing pissed me off more than standing in the hallway for 3 hours when I wasn't even getting paid for it. I was mad enough doing it when I was getting paid for it. So now, if I'm not getting paid, why am I gonna go? So they don't respond. So now the commercial agency has to come and take that call, just adding to the queue of calls that they have to take because we have to wait in the hospital. But again, if we could open beds, now that trickle down effect, we're gonna get those patients out. The patients are gonna go upstairs, beds are gonna open, and you guys are gonna get back out and take calls. So we all have to learn to work together. Collaboration is key. At Catholic Health, we are super lucky to be able to collaborate with a lot of different EMS organizations. Thank you very much, Erie County Emergency Services. We have a huge collaborative relationship with them, not only from a patient transport standpoint, but from an education standpoint. Everybody knows, I hope, about our mobile sim unit. We would not have that if it weren't for our collaboration with Erie County Emergency Services. The truck is ours, most of the equipment on it is ours, the sim equipment is theirs. Erie County didn't say, no, this is ours, you can't have it. They said, let's work together and get it out there to everybody. Catholic Health didn't say, well, that's an area that we don't really take patients from, so we're not gonna go out and educate there. We took it out to everybody. So that collaboration is key. We work with EMS for our offload program. You guys know if you get stuck in a hallway at Catholic Health, call one of the EMS liaisons, and we'll do our damnedest to get you out. I've even made the liaisons come in from home. I've come in from home myself to sit with patients to get you guys back out in the field. That collaboration is wildly important. If we don't have that, this is never gonna work. How many of you remember what EMS was like 20 years ago? 20 years is getting a little tough to remember, right? How about 10 years ago? 5. Does EMS look like that now? Not at all. The only way that EMS is going to survive and that healthcare is going to survive is to think outside the box, adapt, overcome, and collaborate. Sound good? All right, congratulations on the award winners, and thank you for having us out. Yeah.
Now we're gonna move on to the fun part of this evening, recognition of some special people in our, in Wyoming and here town. Also want to recognize the awards committee, which consists of Bernard Harper, Dan McCartan, Dan Rogers, Chris Zemrak, and Carol Staffel, for coming together, looking at all the nominations and choosing the winners that are here with us tonight. This year, between Wyoming and Erie County, we received 19 nominations this year in 7 different categories. It wasn't too bad. There was a total of 11 categories, but we didn't get a nomination for every one of them. So, 7 people, 7 nominations, 7 categories were fulfilled this year. And, we look forward to recognizing them and congratulate them for a job well done. And, take it back to the home department and be very proud. Also, all the nomination winners, all award winners for this year, we have already forwarded their nomination up to New York State, to be, possibly recognized as vital signs, which is held in Syracuse this year, for a, higher level award from state deal. If I could ask, Council Chair, Carol Staffel and Chair-elect Brendan, assist me, with handing out the awards, and Ron McCartney, program director. Okay, we're gonna start out with BLS Provider of the Year, and what we're doing this year, we've invited the award recipients to come on up. If you have family with you, bring them up as well. And we also invited, the person making the nominations for an individual. I asked that they come up as well, and, read off, the brief, nomination, paragraph that they have, and why they were being recognized as the evening. So for BLS Provider of the Year, the award winner is Robert Bushmeyer from the Grand Island Fire Company. And, that's Robert.
Can everybody hear me without the mic? So I'm Robert Meyer as well. This is my dad. So it's a little partial on the nomination, but I heard a lot of feedback from Twin City Ambulance from their providers. Always naming my dad Butch. We always see him at the calls. He's at like every single call. So I'll read the nomination. So his EMS background. He started with Grand Island Fire Company, was a senior in high school. Upon graduation from high school, Butch joined the U.S. Air Force, where he served for 4 years. After leaving the military, he returned to active status at the Grand Island Fire Company. He's been an active member for 57 years and continues to respond to calls. He earned his EMT certification in 1981 and has been a certified and active provider since then. His duties at the fire hall have included serving as master mechanic, lieutenant, captain, and 3 years as an assistant chief. He also served on the board of directors for 9 years. Despite being a life member, he remains an active life member on squad. So anybody that's in the voluntary service knows how squad runs. He still is on squad as an active member there. And he responds to both fire and EMS calls for those. The reason for the award nomination was he's continued to respond to EMS and fire calls. And in 2021, Butch responded to 1,121 EMS and fire calls out of a total of 1,875 total calls for service, which was almost 60% of our calls for Grand Island. This exceeded the long-standing record that was held by a previous member of 1,111 calls. In 2022, Butch again exceeded his previous record, responded to an astounding 1,308 EMS calls, EMS and fire calls out of 2,110 calls for the agency. That's 62% of the calls that we've had in 2022. So for 2 years in a row now, he's beaten the Grand Island Fire Company individual response record. The first record standing for several years, at the 1,011, calls there. And then in 2023, beat his own record. He's been, dedicated and inspired, or he's inspired some of the younger members of the Grand Island Fire Company to respond to more calls because he continues to respond.
Would like to know how many times have you seen CPR in years? The guidelines.
When I first got in, it was It's better.
All right, good enough. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Oh.
Okay, the next award recipient will go for ALS Provider of the Year. This year it goes to Greg Fleury with Twin City Ambulance. And, narrator this evening will be Sean Altman.
So I have the distinct honor of nominating this young man. Every year that goes by, there are less and less people in the EMS locally who can do the job longer than me. So I can say that with all these that Greg has done the job much longer than I have, and beyond that being kind of funny. The real reason why I was happy with the nomination was that Greg, the guy who, even though he's been in the field for a long time and that kind of phased out like a lot of us do, he's maintained both his integrity as a provider, and he's also a guy who seeks to improve himself as new technology emerge, new concepts emerge, new cynical modalities come out there. He'll call me on the phone and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. We meet up, we this new thing, and we work on this part of the cardiac monitor or whatever. So this guy just had a very storied career, and he probably honestly could have been the ALS Provider of the Year many times, but this is the call that we picked. For Greg, here's the nomination. On February 5th, 2023, paramedic Greg Fleury and his partner responded to a call for a male in his early 50s having a seizure. Upon arrival, they were informed by the first responding providers from Clarence Center Fire Department that the patient had been conscious when they arrived, but according to the family, the patient had in fact suffered a seizure. Greg began his assessment of the patient, who was becoming increasingly restless and anxious. Greg noted that this is the first sign of pending shock, and to accelerate his assessment and treatment. As the providers on scene attempted to get the patient cleaned up on off the floor, became unresponsive, and Greg immediately noted the patient was cardiac arrest. Greg, for the better part of 45 minutes, led the responding team through a full ACLF megacode of covering CPR, advanced airway control, several defibrillations, and many medications. Their tireless efforts eventually resulted in return of spontaneous circulation. The patient was delivered with pulses to the ED. After a day in the ICU, the patient was subsequently discharged, neurologically intact, thanks to the efforts of paramedic Fleury's partners and Clarence Center Fire Department. That was quite a job, my friend. So, that's honored.
Congratulations. Okay, moving on to EMS Agency of the Year. This year's recipient will go to the Coleman Fire Company EMS squad. The nomination was written by past EMS chief Charles Paul, who moved out of the area. And with us tonight, I believe it's EMS chief Ron Smith. Will be listening there.
I'm up, I guess. Okay, the Colton Fire Company EMS squad. It's made up of 5 men, 4 of whom are older than 70 years old, who respond to EMS calls throughout the Colton Fire District. We are all basic EMTs. Our fire district is in southern Erie County, a very rural area. We are approximately 45 minutes from the nearest medical hospital. There is a local community hospital approximately 15 minutes per month. During 22, we responded to 245 EMS calls, which equals 70% of the calls Colton Fire Company had at that time. In order to serve the people of Colton better, we worked with the town of Colton to obtain a chest compression device and an application to participate in IGEL supragalactic airway pilot program that has been submitted. And recently, we just got trained on that. As with several other EMS squads in the area, we often must go without the service of paramedic. With the advantage of having a chest compression device, we are able to utilize the supragalactic airway. Being trained and use the boat, we stand a much better chance of keeping our citizens alive. An example of dedication of the squad was demonstrated on December 23rd, 2022, when 3 of the 5 members responded to a call that involved a paramedic patient, a pediatric patient about 2 years old. The call came out on the radio as the child was having difficulty breathing. We responded to emergency, assessed the child, and noted an absence of breath sound and the basis for therapy. The patient told us, or the parents told us, that they had been called by the pediatrician who advised them that the child should be transported to Oshai Children's Hospital in Buffalo. Before we left the house, a sheriff's deputy was asked if we could make it to Buffalo during a bad snowstorm. The answer was there would be no problem. The Heidelberg Fire Dispatch was contacted regarding the best and the safest route to take, and off we went. It took about 2 hours for us to get into Buffalo, but about 3 miles from the hospital, we got stuck in the snow. The fire patrol was notified, and 2 hours later, we were able to transfer the patient and the parents to another agency that had a tracked UTV. Took 2 hours later, we were rescued and taken to the command center. 15 hours later, we had finally gotten our ambulance unstuck and headed back to Colden. We were 10 minutes away from the firehouse when we received another call. The driver and I just looked at each other, shrugged our shoulders, and we responded to the call. Fortunately, that call was turned out to be an emergency, and they were transported to community hospital. We might be a small crew, but we have given all we have. We know very well that we are often the only chance the citizens in our fire district have when we go out on calls. And reminded of us of Isaiah 6-8. Whom shall I send, and whom will go for us? And I said, here I am, send me. And I'd like to say that since the last 2 months, we're recruiting 3 more people who are very interested in EMS work, so we're finally starting to grow back up again. Thank you.
Congratulations, Paul. Thank you, everybody. Okay, now we're gonna move on to provider of the year. We need a lot more youth in our business. This is a great start. Happy to introduce Eric Philmore, young gentleman from the Boston Emergency Squad that I've been understanding. He's doing a heck of a job. If Eric can come up and please bring your mom and dad. Generation for this evening for this one is Loretta Luzerne, Director of Operations for Boston.
Eric began EMT class last fall at Hamburg High School with Chris Semrak, and in September of last year, he joined the emergency squad, Boston EMS. He is also a junior, at that time, he was also a junior firefighter with Hamburg. The reason for the nomination is that Eric was a 17-year-old high school senior who works 2 part-time jobs along with his studies in school, finds time to volunteer in his community. Eric is a respectful young man who enjoys being at our hall and going on calls. He's not afraid to wash an ambulance without being asked or restock needed supplies after calls. He had his orientation November 15th and through the end of December, pulled 13 calls on top of going to school and working. Since January 1st, this said 27 calls, but I know he's up to about 130 out of our 400 and close to 60 calls so far. And as of March 9th, he had pulled 245 minutes of call hours. All of this on top of schoolwork, part-time jobs, and being a junior firefighter at the time. Eric was part of a crew that received acclamation from Mercy Hospital for the excellent outcome of a stroke patient in December. He has joined our installation committee and is looking forward to that experience. He works well with members of all ages, including us old people, and is kind and caring with patients. Since I wrote this, Eric is now a New York State EMT. He's turned 18 and he is a full firefighter with North Boston Volunteer Fire.
Congratulations, Eric, and thanks, Mom and Dad. Yeah, heck of a young man right there. Okay, now I have the honor of introducing you to the recipient of the Harriet C. Weber EMS Leadership of the Year Award. This year we'll be going to Jill Brunner from Twin City Ambulance. Don, trying to take you through here.
I'll go ahead and get started as she makes her way up here. I just commented that my favorite runner is the award recipient tonight. So, there's a theme that I'm catching on tonight. And first off, it's collaboration. And second off, it's what is our future, right? We just saw our future here. We had a presentation on collaboration. And as we talk about the leadership award, I think that Jill is the epitome of what that represents here tonight. In her award background, Jill's a third generation EMS provider who began her career with an allied health internship at Twin City Ambulance in 1998. Upon that completion, she began to work as a wheelchair van driver, as many of us did. She quickly obtained her EMT and EMD or emergency medical dispatch certifications and earned a promotion to dispatcher. She has held multiple roles at Twin City, including senior dispatcher, dispatch supervisor, communications manager, and special projects manager. In her current role as a special projects manager, she oversees Twin City's dispatch center and is one of the principal operations and planning managers. So during the blizzard of 2022, we reached out and actually she offered, and collaboration occurred. You know, we had one of the most devastating blizzards that this community has ever had, with people dying, unfortunately, with a cessation of EMS service that we've never seen before occur in Western New York. Jill Brunner stepped to the plate. There was a collaboration of multiple agencies and entities. You just heard about Boston, or Colton, I'm sorry, having an opportunity to see a track vehicle come out from a different agency and help them and so forth. And there was a conglomeration of a number of calls that were backed on. And with that conglomeration, there was a multi-spearheaded approach. And Jill Brunner organized that spearheaded approach. She stepped into another agency's dispatch system, came into the county ELC, and helped to coordinate and collaborate what the response was that saved countless lives in Erie County during the days following the blizzard of 2022 and the Christmas blizzard. She was instrumental in analyzing and organizing that response, and she was able to bridge the gap between dispatch centers and sacrifice her own personal time to aid multiple agencies in that disaster. In addition to that, she's also been identified as not only passionate, but committed to the contributing to the data group that has helped to change and improve the data management and data submission across the state for EMS. That very much data submission is what is responsible and has assisted in increasing the budgeting of EMS across the state from our legislature. So congratulations, I am more than honored to have nominated you for this, and I couldn't think of a better candidate. So congratulations.
I think we unanimously agree. I agree with Don. It'd be my favorite Robert too.
Congratulations. Okay, now we're gonna recognize the EMS Educator of Excellence of the Year Award. This year's recipient will be Rodney Hodge from the Erie County EMS, and narrated by Paul Shepard.
Rob's in there. All right here.
So as far as Rodney and his background, he's been an EMT since 1987, started working for Amherst Columbia Ambulance, ultimately going to Niagara Ambulance, and then volunteered at the Pekin Fire Company, where he also switched over to Mill Grove, and currently he volunteers at the Cambria Volunteer Fire Company. Rodney received a CIC approximately 14 years ago and has taught many EMT classes with a pass rate of 98%. He's currently a CIC and teaches for Erie County EMS, as well as the program administrator for the Niagara County Community College. With EMS agencies have already experiencing a shortage of trained personnel, without Rodney's plan to continue the EMT classes and programs, and the flux of struggling for help would have been even greater. Erie and Niagara County benefited with forward thinking and has never stopped classing.
Congratulations, Brad. Thank you for your hard work. Now we will recognize EMS Communications Specialist of the Year. This year, goes to a group of people that works for Erie County Emergency Control. As you'll hear shortly, they were heavily involved in the storm response in Erie County. The three recipients for this year goes to Elizabeth Forkel, Haley Tangelo, and Kevin Jewett. And Steve Becker. Ryan Sheedy will be stepping in.
One thing I would like to add is I sat in Bliss where we didn't have a blizzard, it was kind of nice for once, and listened to them on EF1, and they were phenomenal. They pounded it.
This crew, works up at ADI MERS, compromised, EMT basics, advanced, and paramedics. All been employed, either commercial EMS, volunteer EMS, when they received other awards as Partner of the Year. Been with us for years. This platoon is one of the best crews that I have on. Let's say that. The reason for your nomination, Kevin and a couple others, they worked during the May 14th top shooting that happened in the city of Buffalo. All worked together, get resources moving, support each other, both during the incident and months aftermath after. So entire crew then worked together during the Christmas blizzard, Christmas storm. It began on their shift Friday morning. We didn't leave until Sunday night. There was no way to get them in and out. Them three work, and they came prepared with their go bags, groceries for each other, bedding, clothing, and everything that they needed to support the three of them. Haley being 34 weeks pregnant at the time. Ended up working for about 65 hours straight with minimal break. Doing that. During this time, to support each other personally, be able to take breaks, rest, and walk away for a field when things became overwhelming, which according to them did several times. While doing all this, they were thinking of that fact, gave people instructions on use blankets to create tents in their home to keep them warm, gave them directions to local warming shelters, and worked to keep as many people safe as possible. Did all this while emergency services were suspended in the city of Buffalo. For many people, these were the only source of contact they had. These three were some of the only emergency services that are functional for nearly 48 hours. They were the voice of reason, calm, and hope for many. And officially get on the news and give their thanks to the first responders that are operating during the storm. These three are on the front line.
Now we're gonna have Brian back up here. He's gonna introduce three new members to our council that joined since our past board thing.
Gave me a minute to say something, so I'll take the minute. Eric, thank you for getting involved. We desperately need the help, and it's great to have you and your commitment. I think there's a lot of people in this room who can remember that first year, right? Those first experiences. We wish we felt that way again, and hope you don't ever lose that. Stick around for a long time and get all the joy there is to have it. Talk about collaboration. Emily brought up collaboration and opportunity to share things. It's not just fiscal resources, it's contribution, and that's what this council is. An opportunity to share information, an opportunity to come together and work for the common good of all the people we serve in Wyoming and Erie counties. They can be a place where you can come and address problems, raise concerns. Let's speak to those issues. Let's be advocates. You don't have to solve everything on your own. There is a place where we can do this together, and that's this council. And it's not too often that we get new members. Unfortunately, Mike Hyde is not here tonight to join us, but we will be introducing Mike Hyde, a new member who's gotten active pretty quickly. But Robert Tatarka, I'm gonna make you stand up. Robert joined us. In the past year with really no EMS background, but just a desire to help this community. And he's gotten involved very, very quickly, helping with the bylaws committees, regularly participating in the meetings, and bringing a little bit of a fresh perspective, and we need that too. So not losing sight of all the things that are out there, the challenges that we have in terms of obtaining personnel and retaining the personnel that we have. Key among those challenges, and as we start to see things evaporate, is how really do we fund this? And ultimately, it comes down to advocacy. And I said to somebody the other day, and I'll stand by this, Emily, I'll give it to you if you have the answers. You solve one problem in EMS, I'll take care of the rest. You get us the money, I'll take care of everything else. And those just aren't options, right? They don't exist. So if anybody's interested in joining the council and being an advocate for EMS and helping us to push on all of those fronts, recruitment, retention, education, system operations and design, innovative and collaborative decision-making, somebody around here has an application, or you can go to our website, which I think is worms.org. The people that run the website aren't even sure. Google and look for Wyoming-Erie Regional EMS Council, and that will help you. So, Robert, thanks for joining us this year. Everybody who stuck around for another year and comes out every other month, thank you so much for your contributions and for all of the subcommittees and the awards, and I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. That concludes the award portion of our evening. I will turn it back over to our chair, Carol, and lead us the rest of the night.